Hi there, my name is Heather McGowan. In this video, we're going to answer the question, is there a loneliness epidemic? Simple answer, yes. But let's talk about it. Some of the questions we'll answer in this video is, what is an epidemic? What is loneliness on the brain? And what are some of the demographics most affected? At the end of this video, you'll understand why loneliness is an epidemic and who can solve it. So an epidemic is defined as an excess prevalence over a baseline, a population level impact, a sustained pattern, not just a spike, harm or risk, and significant health impacts. So we're talking about an excess prevalence over baseline. 25 to 50% of adults in the US report being lonely often. Globally, it's more like 15 to 25%. According to the UCLA loneliness scale, about 61% of folks reported being lonely in 2019. Now that was before the pandemic and it's subsided a little bit since, but it's still very elevated. According to the Surgeon General, in 2023, 50% of the people they felt qualified for being part of the loneliness epidemic. Gallup asked the question a little differently. They didn't ask if you were frequently lonely, they asked if you were lonely yesterday. When they asked the question that way, 25% of people reported being lonely at the height of the pandemic. It subsided a little bit since, but it's then since elevated in the last quarter of last year. So if we look at some of the risk factors for premature death, there's smoking, obesity, and loneliness. Let's look at how they elevate your chances of premature death. If you're a smoker, you've got a 50 to over 100% increase in the chance of premature death. If you're obese, it's somewhere between 40 and 100%. If you're lonely, it's 25 to 30% increased chance of a premature death. So it's not as high as obesity, it's not as high as smoking, but it's pretty significant. Now let's look at specifically what those health risks are if you're lonely. It's a 29% increase in heart disease, 32% increase in stroke, and a 50+% increase in dementia. Now I think this graphic would be helpful too. It's time spent alone from 2010 to 2023. Now what's interesting to look at is, of course, there was a spike in COVID, of course, because we all had to spend more time alone, but also look at the population that's most affected. The largest share and increase in people spending time alone was people 15 to 29. In 2023, it was 45% higher than it was in 2010. And if you look at this chart, some of them came down after COVID. Some of them, particularly 15 to 29-year-olds, remained elevated. So if we look at worldwide rates of loneliness, just by age group, those most impacted are 18 to 24. There were higher rates of loneliness in 2019 with this age group than there was in 2024. But that group is by far the most impacted. The other folks that are most impacted is usually low-income folks and minorities. High-income folks and older folks tend to be doing better than our younger folks. So let's talk about 5 ways your brain changes in loneliness. So first, you have a hostility filter. You'll misread social cues as threats. Second, you go in a rumination spiral. You start thinking over and over about things, particularly negative things. You relive them in your head. Third, you have reward deprivation. You don't get the same level of benefit from the social interactions that you do have. You have lower levels of oxytocin. You get in a hypervigilance trap. You're in fight or flight mode, so you can't accurately assess social situations. And then you begin to start processing otherness. You feel separated, you feel left out, and you start seeing everything through that filter of exclusion and not being seen. So these are 5 ways loneliness is impacting our brain and making it harder to create social connections. Now this is really stunning data. This just came out in the last year from the World Health Organization. 871,000 people die every year of loneliness. That's 100 people every hour. That's a handful of people just while you've been listening to this video. So I want to talk to you about who can solve that loneliness epidemic. It's us. So I had a t-shirt made, and you can see it in the image here. Only we can solve loneliness. Now I have a funny story to tell you. So I started a silent book club in my town. Silent Book Club is really simple. There's a database you can join, but you don't have to join it. You can start a silent book club. All it means is pick a public place, tell everybody at 4 o'clock on Thursday, that's where mine is, show up. Mine's at a bar. I like to have a beer while I'm reading a book. Everybody shows up with whatever they want to read. It can be a catalog, it can be a book, it can be on your Kindle, it could be on your phone, doesn't matter. Read whatever you want to for an hour, silently. And then afterwards, people socialize. A lot of times they talk about the book they're reading or they talk about things in their lives, but anybody's welcome to show up. And it's a way of having community that's really in low risk. Nobody has to be in charge, and it's simple. So when I'm not traveling, which is fairly rare, every Thursday at 4 o'clock, I am at the Gulfport Brewery in Gulfport, Florida. So one week I went, because I never miss it when I can, and I happened to be wearing my Only We Can Solve Loneliness t-shirt, and nobody showed up that day. So I was sitting there by myself, drinking a beer, reading my book, and all these people were giving me these pitiful looks because I got this Only We Can Solve Loneliness t-shirt, and I'm by myself. So anyway, Loneliness is up to us. My name is Heather McGowan. If this video was helpful, click on the link below. What is the loneliness epidemic?